be able to grow on Instagram and utilize the power of Reels, but you don't really want to be putting your face out there? Well, in this video, we're going to look at how you can use Canva to create faceless but still very effective Reels videos. So let's take a look at the different kind of videos you can create. All right, so you want to create Reels for Instagram, but you don't want to get on video. So what are some techniques that we can use to create some fun Reels using Canva? So the first type that we can create is something where we put text on top of a video. So the video you use can either be stock video or you can record some video yourself. Now you could still use a video of you, just not you talking to camera if you're comfortable with having yourself in a video but just don't want to talk to the camera. So maybe a video of you doing your work, maybe a video of you just walking around, doing something that you do in your business. Or you can take videos of different things going on. Maybe it's just you holding a coffee so you can't see your face but you only see that, or you typing on a keyboard. So basically you want to use any kind of stock footage, whether it's stuff that you find within Canva, that you find on a stock video site, or that you've created yourself. So we'd be able to create something like this. So I'll just give you as an example here, something like that. Now there's different variations you could do. So you could have something where it's like a tweet like this. You could also just have some text on top. You can make it look like a reminder, or you can make it look like a note. So there's different ways you could apply it. So you could do it as just plain text, or you could turn it into something a bit like a reminder thing or a tweet or something like that. So the way to create something like this, you're going to go to Home, Create a Design, and you're going to choose Instagram Story Video. And that's going to give us the right size and also in video mode, so it's all set up ready to go. So if you've decided to use your own video, if you've uploaded something, you can go to Uploads, Video, upload your own video. So then all you'd need to do is grab that video, drag and drop it on the page. Now if for some reason it doesn't size on the page just correctly for you, all you have to do is pull on these purple bits to resize it, and then you can get it into the page how you want. So that's going to put it in, and it's going to automatically move it to the length that that video is. So this is where you need to think about cropping. So go and look at your audio, go do some research on Instagram, find an audio you want to use, and then you're just going to grab the corner here and drag it down to the length that you want it to go for, and then you've got your video. So let's look at some other stock video. So if we've got video like this, if you've got something that's the wrong way around, so if you've got something that's horizontal rather than vertical, you can still just drag and drop it in as a background, and it's going to crop it. So you could still utilize videos that are the wrong size and just crop them in parts. So you don't have to use that whole image. You could just crop a little bit of it, something like this, to use as a video. And again, anytime you change the video, you're going to have to come back in and change how long it goes for. So now you can go and add in the text. So you can go over to text, and you can just click on the text here and just type something in. Or if you wanted to add a bit more to it, we can come to elements and we can grab things like shapes. So if we wanted it in a white box. Now if you want it to look a bit like a tweet, we can make it white. You could always, add a little profile picture. So you can do that easily by going to elements and in frames, choose a circle frame. Make that smaller, and then you can drag in a picture of yourself, and then you're just going to add in that text there of whatever you want it to be. Now if you want this box to be rounded, you can just come here to border style and the corner rounding, and you can make that a little bit rounded. Right, so let's say we put our text in like this and we're happy with it. So you'd end up with something like this. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention is if you don't want a background and your text is a little hard to read, here's a little trick for you. So let's duplicate this. You can click on the three dots and duplicate if you want to make a copy. Now, what we can do is move this image out the way, this video, and on the background, we want to choose a background color. So choose a dark color that suits your branding. So maybe here I'll go with blue. Now bring your video back on top, and you're going to go to transparency and put it down slightly. And that's going to give you a bit of an overlay that then you can put text on top. So if we had the text without any background here, we're going to choose a contrasting color. So maybe go white. It's going to be a lot easier to read now than if we didn't have that overlay. And you can play around with the transparency. See, when there's less of it, it's harder to read. The more of it, the easier it gets to read. So you can play with that overlay to make your text really clear and easy to read. So once you've got your video, whether you've decided to do a style like this or a style like that, you then have to decide, are you happy with it like that? Or do you want to add extra animation, like animating the text? So to animate these elements, you just click on any element and you come up to animate, and you can choose an animation. So if you want to add a bit of extra animation to your text, you can go through and choose something that would suit. You obviously don't want to overdo it with something like this because we've got the video in the background. So you might want to choose something just subtle like this photo rise. with the type just faded in, just something quite subtle. So you don't want to overdo it because people are going to be really focused on that video in the background and trying to read your text, that if you add too much animation, you're going to overwhelm them. So the same with something like this, you may just want to leave it as is so they can just focus on reading it and they've got that video in the background. But if you do want to add something subtle, just come up to animate, and then you can choose something like fade where it just comes in slightly. Make sure over here you choose just on enter so it's not going in and out and being a bit over the board. Because remember, it's going to be playing on repeat over and over. So if we've got it on both enter and exit, that's going to be a bit too much. So if we just do it once on enter, that'll be enough. Now the problem with that too, because it's looping, it's going to make the loop more obvious because they'll see it fade again. So you really got to think about how you want this to look once it's looping too, and whether you're over animating or whether it's just enough. Now, if you're adding extra elements like little graphics, like maybe some stickers or things like that, you might want to animate them. So let's say we decide to go for a sticker. So if we go to elements, and then you got here this section called stickers, they've got things that are already animated in here. So if you wanted to add one of them, you could do that. So if you wanted to click on something, you could use a mouse or something cute like this. Feel free to add in little things like that to add little stickery bits. Or if you find an element that isn't already moving, so if we just go over to graphics, and maybe we liked this, but we wanted to have a little bit of movement to it. We didn't want it just to be still. That's when we can come to animate, and we can look for an animation that would work that's not overdone either. See, something like that is a bit too much. So you really got to think about the feeling you want to create here and what's going to be just enough. So wiggle could be cute, but it might be a bit too much. Maybe if we put it on wiggle, but put the intensity right down. So it's just got this light wiggle, just like that. Something like that can work. So if you make a mistake, make an animation you're not happy with, and you're like, no, that's too much now, you can just click on remove animation. So make sure you've clicked on that element and click remove animation to get rid of it. So if you try something out and you're like, oh, I don't think that's actually working, you can easily remove that animation. So once you've got one you're happy with, so feel free to add several if you wanted to play around with lots of things all at once. Once you're happy with one, you just go to share, download, select the one you want. So if you had multiple that you want to put together for some reason, maybe you wanted to change what video's in the back, things like that, you can select however many you want or just select one at a time. Make sure it's MP4 and download. Now, just to show you some more examples of how you could use a style like this, you could also do little images in it. You could create things like lists like this. You could just get really creative with notes. You could add little reminders. There's lots of different ways you can do it, and it can look really cool. Here we've got another list. Here we've got one that looks like a tweet, but it hasn't got a background on it. So that again is when you may want to do that overlay to make it really readable. Now this is another one we can do, and that's creating meme reels. So these ones are really simple, but they're the sort of thing that people love because they're really funny and shareable. So think about something that you could write that's really relevant and it's going to be a bit funny. And then all you need to do is go and look for a GIF. So what you want to do is come over here to apps and search Giphy. See, it's going to come up there, open it up, and it's going to give you all the GIFs that you would find on Giphy.com. So what you can do is just search for the kind of thing that you're trying to look for. So if you want to try and show an emotion, think about things like that. Or if you want to show someone waving or high-fiving, just think about what kind of GIF you want, and it's going to bring up all the different ones, and you can find something that you feel is relevant. So for example, we want to show excitement. So you've got all these different ones. You can pick one that you feel really suits your audience and your brand personality, whatever you really like. So when we click on the one we like, it's going to put it on the page, and all you have to do is resize it. Of course, add your text. Now again, I don't think I would animate the text because it would probably be a bit too much here. You may want to add your brand name underneath or your handle. And then again, you just want to download that and upload it to Instagram. Now you will need to also check down here the length. So if you're adding some music to it, you're going to want to adjust the length to whatever the length of your music is. Now we've got one which is the double video. So this is if you've got a video where you want to show off maybe a product or maybe something you're working on or some other thing where you already have a video but you want to turn it into a reel. So what you could do is create a double video where you've got a background video. So you want to find something very backgroundy. So if we go to elements and we choose like shadow, and then go to videos, something like this where it's just really simple and not overwhelming. We can put that in as our background. Then we can add in here a video on top. So this is where you can add a video. So here I've shown a product. So I'm showcasing that product and I've put it on top as another video, and then adding all the text around. And that way it just makes it really more interesting and dynamic than if you just simply showed this video of your product. And it allows you to add text then. So you're not trying to compete and put the text all over top of this video. If you really want to make this video nice and clear without text in the way so that people can really look at it, you may want to do it this way where you put a video on top of a background video. So now another fun technique, adding a ticker effect over. So this is great if you've got a reel that's something to do with a sale. So we can put in a video, we can add some text, and then we're going to create this ticker. So to create the ticker, what you're going to do is you're going to get some text. So we can write sale on today, and you're just going to write it over and over. Now obviously you can copy and paste so you're not sitting there writing all day long. Alright, now we're going to make our text bigger. So you're going to make it go off the page. Now we're going to go to Effects, Background, and this is where you can add a background to it. So think about how wide you want it to come out. You can change the color here if you want to change the color. Now we're going to put it on an angle, so I might make it a little bit bigger. And as I said, make sure it goes off the page like this, so it's full. So if it crops it and tries to cut it, the text that goes on 2 lines, just pull it right out so it comes off the page instead. Then you're going to go to Animate and you're going to select Drift. And that's going to make it move along. Now what you can do is change the intensity. So if you wanted it to move quicker, you can do that. Make sure it's moving across the right direction. Now we can make another copy, turn it the other way, and make it go the other way. So just check for things too, if it needs adjusting. And then you've got a fun ticker effect that can go over the top of a video. The next type of reel we're going to create is where we're using lots of different images and graphics and animating it. So this is an example here I've got. So if we play it through, we've got lots of different elements animating, and then it goes to the next frame where things move around more. So this type of one where we can use several different frames and we can make things move around. So I'll remove all the animations from this and we're going to have a look at how you do something like this. Okay, so for something like this, you want to think about what you want to happen. So you might have lots of different elements. Maybe you've got like this one, we've got a film strip. So I found a film strip frame and just put all these images in. I've got some text, I've got some different graphics, an image of myself. So it depends on what you want to show off, what you want to utilize in this. So you'd get everything that you want on that first page in the page. Now we're going to look at different ways we can add some animation to the page. So you can click on one element at a time, click on animate, and then have a look at what kind of animation you want to add. So maybe you want it to move or fade. Just play around, look at the different animation types. So as you hover over them, it's going to show you what it will look like. And that way you can find something that is appropriate. So something like this scrapbook one can be fun because it has that fun movement coming in, but it also depends on the feel you're trying to create. So we might add that to some of these different elements here. Now you'll notice too that we've got here on enter, on exit. So you want to make sure too that we just do it just on enter, because we don't want to do it and then do it again. We just want it to come in on enter. Now this one here, I want it to sort of move upwards, like it's just some film moving along. Now there isn't actually an effect that's going to do that. Now if it was flat, you could maybe try something like this rise one, but because it's diagonal, we want to create our own. So anything where you want to move across the frame in a way that any of these animations aren't going to do, what you can do is click on that element. Then you can scroll up here where it's got create an animation, and then we're just going to basically move it across the page the way we want it to move. So I want that to just move up, and it'll show you how it looked there. Now we can press on steady to help steady it, because obviously doing it by hand you're going to be a little wobbly. You can also adjust the speed, so if you want it a little bit quicker or slower. And it's also got these extra motion effects, so if for some reason you wanted to add a little bit extra motion as it goes, you're able to do that too. So once you're happy with it, just press done. And there we've got this other animation element. So now the text. So again, we can click on animate, And you've got here this one, writing. We've got different writing styles, the way you want your text to come into the page. So you can try out different ones, see what you like. Make sure you just do it on enter again. Now this one, it looks like a typewriter effect, so we might go for typewriter. It's like it's typing it out. Okay, so now for our next frame, what we want to do is make it flow, which means what we want to first do is duplicate. So we're going to duplicate page. So I'm just going to keep that aside for now. And now what we're going to do is move things around on the page. So we might remove this, we'll get rid of this one. Move this text up, move that one out, get rid of this box. Now I'm going to make this text bigger. Coming out here and put me in the center now and go bigger. Now what you can do, we're going to add this new element in because it wasn't there before. We want to introduce it. So what we're going to do is something really clever, and we're going to layer, center back. Now while it's still selected, we're going to go to animate, and we're going to choose create an animation here, and we're going to animate it so it comes out. So it's hiding and we're not seeing it, but then it's just sneaking out behind. So it's a way of introducing it into this graphic. Now, what you're going to do is click in between these two, and you'll see these little arrows and it says add transition. And you're going to select match and move. And that's going to make things from that first slide then move into the next slide in a nice smooth way rather than feeling choppy. So if we play that through now, as you can see, we've got all the animation we added, and now the transition, it moves nice and smoothly into the next frame. So if you want to, you can continue on and do more frames. Just make sure you add that transition in between each one, and it's going to make it feel like all these elements on the page really flow. So if you want to introduce new elements in a way that doesn't feel choppy or sudden, as I showed you, you can put them behind something and then introduce them in, or you could start it off the page and make it come in. Just make sure it doesn't just magically appear there and then it's going to look a bit odd. It's all about making it look like it flows. So all these different elements just come in nicely and all flows and makes a nice video. So then you can download this and upload it into Instagram and add your audio. Now, one more effect I wanted to show you is giving it a film effect. So if we go and type in film in here, you'll see under videos, we've got different film effects. Now some of these are pro, but as you can see, you can add texture if you want to. So let's add a photo first. So let's say we're doing a reel about our farm animals, but we wanted to make it look vintagey. We could put that one in. Then we go to the element and film and add this on top. Now we're going to put the transparency down. And it's just going to add that nice texture, that filmy texture on top. Now you could do this for different kinds of texture too. You could also get things like paper texture and things like that. So if you want to texturize it just to give it some movement, you can also find these textures. So I'll just show you for film first quickly. So just say we went for those ones. Now we can choose what kind of move we want. So we want flow like this or stack. And so as it plays through, you've got a bit of movement going on, so it's not so boring of just a flat image. You'd probably want to make it fairly short, so it's just running through these images quite quickly. So you'd want to change the timing to quite quick, and then it's just going through, and you've got that texture on top which creates movement, so it doesn't look too still and boring. It keeps people's attention. So if we go back here and we try paper texture, and you go under video, get something like this. Again, you want to make it so it covers the whole screen. Then you're going to put the transparency down. And see, it adds that texture and that movement and creates interest, so people are going to be more interested by what's going on, but it's still just that flat image. And so if you have lots of images all stacked in a row that you're just running through them, this is a way of adding that little bit of extra movement into each image, so it's a little bit more interesting for people to watch as a video. Now, if you see a time template for photos where someone says, okay, if you do 1 second, then 2 seconds, then 4 seconds, then 3 seconds, it's going to match it to this music. The way that you can create this in Canva is by making sure that you time each one. So each slide here, we're going to have a different photo. And then we're going to basically move this to get the timing. So here we could have 2.5. This one we make 0.7. So whatever the timing it says to match it to the music you're using, just change each frame to that timing, and it's going to give you that perfect timing so that it matches to the music. And again, like in that last one, if you want to make it a little bit more interesting than just running through images, you can add those overlay textures to create a little bit of movement going on. And you've also got that option too of going in between and adding transitions if you want to. If you don't want it just plain movement of just boom, boom, boom through photos, you've got that option of saying, okay, let's just try and add some transition here. So let's try the match and move for just a plain photo. And it's going to look like this. So that's just a way of making it a little bit more interesting than just flat go photo, photo, photo. So I hope this got you inspired to start creating some reels in Canva if you're trying to create faceless reels. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Give some of these reels a go, try them out, and once you create these, you'll be able to use them as templates and use them again and again. Now, if you'd like to be able to make these faceless reels on Canva really easily without having to start from a blank page completely from scratch, well, I have a collection of Canva templates that you can use to get you started creating these faceless reels. So if you'd like to check these out, check the link in the description below. If you'd like to learn more about using Canva, about branding, graphic design, and creativity, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.